Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Janking Off. This time I'm gonna show you Musical Sumo Dice Games OTK Turbo. This deck is bad, I'll be honest, but it's really funny. Musical Sumo Dice Games is an Alt-wincon that says that if your opponent enters the battle phase, you roll a 6-sided die, and then you move Musical Sumo Dice Games that many spaces on the board clockwise, and if it hits a monster zone with a monster in it, you attach that monster as well as all its materials to Musical Sumo Dice Games. Then, if the materials on Musical Sumo Dice Games exceed 6 this way, you win the duel. Let's jump right into the deck and then I'm gonna show you some combos. First, we are playing a ton of level 6 extenders. We are playing 2 of both the level 6 Mech Knights. These can only be special summoned once per turn, so we are only playing 2 each. Then we are playing 2 World Legacy World Crown. We are only playing 2 of this for the same reason. We can only special summon it once per turn. Then we are playing 3 Link Belt Wall Dragon. This we can special summon if we link summon, and for our combo we always need to link summon, so this is always alive. And it's a floodgate even, so sometimes you can sit on a Link Belt Wall Dragon if you play against a link deck, but it's rarely ever gonna happen. Then we are gonna be playing a ton of Infinitracks monsters, because the combo resolves around Harvester and Anchor Drill. We are playing a Brutal Dozer. We can search this with the Harvester, and Brutal Dozer can tribute a monster on our side of the field to special summon itself, as well as an Earth Machine monster from our deck. So this way we can get Trencher from the deck, and Trencher we can even banish from our graveyard to summon something from our graveyard back. So this is kinda recursion as well. Then we are playing 3 Anchor Drill as well as 3 Harvester. These are really important for the combo, because if you open Anchor Drill plus Harvester plus any level 6 extender, you got the full combo. Anchor Drill can special summon Harvester. Harvester can then add Brutal Dozer, and then you can either use Harvester's effect or Anchor Drill's effect to make both of them level 6. Then you can link one of them into a Goliath, special summon a level 6 extender, then you can make a Musical Sumo Dice Games, use the Search Brutal Dozer to tribute the Goliath in your extra monster zone, special summon Brutal Dozer as well as Trencher, and then you make a Infinitracks River Stormer with it. This way you end on an Xyz monster with 2 materials, as well as a Musical Sumo Dice Games with 2 materials. The only thing you need now is 1 more material under one of them, but there are ways we can accomplish this. First, we are playing a lot of draw spells to draw deeper in our deck. We are playing 3 Hand Destruction, 1 Wonder AFPs, an Into the Void, an Upstart, essentially 3 other Upstarts with Foolish Burial Goods plus Metal Force Fusion, and 2 Pot of Desires. The only thing we don't want to banish is Brutal Dozer, but it's still fine if you banish Brutal Dozer, I'll say it like that. It hurts, but it's fine, because you can get the Goliath to the graveyard in other ways, but it's not pretty. So you really don't want to banish the Brutal Dozer, but if you banish it, it's still okay. Then we are playing 2 Ready Fusion as another level 6 extender. This just summons a level 6 normal monster from our extra deck. We summon Aqua Dragon this way, and then we can use him for the Xyz summons, so this is really nice as well. Then we are playing 3 Heavy Forward. Heavy Forward is crazy good in this deck, because it can either get us Anchor Drill or Harvester if we didn't open them, and it can attach itself to an Xyz monster as material. So if we open Heavy Forward plus either Anchor Drill or Harvester and any of the level 6 extenders, we got full combo, and we got a Sumo Dice Games that can win us the duel with its own effect. Then we are playing 2 Overlay Reagan. This essentially does the same as Heavy Forward, but it cannot search. It can just attach itself as material to an Xyz monster. But because we always want at least the chance to win with Musical Sumo Dice Games, because there's still always the chance that we don't hit the die roll, we at least want to have the possibility to have enough materials on board that we could win the duel, even if we don't hit the die roll. But to guarantee us better die rolls, we are playing that 6. That 6 can change the die roll to a 6 or to a 1. We want to manipulate the die roll to a 1, because we can summon our River Stormer next to the Musical Sumo Dice Games, and then we can just either roll a 1, then it's already a 1, or we can roll a 2, 4 or 6, so we got a 4 out of 6 chance that we hit the Musical Dice Games effect. Yeah, because there's still a chance that you roll the one the normal way. We are playing 3 Grand Horn of Heaven. This is a great card and it's super slept on, but it's especially good in this deck. If your opponent summons a monster during the main phase, you can negate the summon, and then you destroy the monster, and then your opponent draws a card, like, he draws a card, and then you end the main phase. This way you can either force them to go to the battle phase, and they can't build up any negates for your musical sumo dice games, or you force them to go to the end phase, because if they don't go to the battle phase, they have to go to the end phase. And if they go to the end phase, we can just, even if we don't hit the musical sumo dice games, because they didn't allow us to use the musical sumo dice games, make a Zeus on our turn. And we are playing Xyz monsters, and we can attach extra materials to them, so the Zeus most of the time will have like at least 4 materials, so that's great as well. Let's jump to the extra deck, and then I'll show you some combos. In the extra deck we are playing 1 Aqua Dragon just as a ready fusion target, a Zeus, because it's a Zeus and we are playing an Xyz deck. In Infinitrack Earth Slicer, you can technically go into this if you use an Anchor Drill and Trencher or a Brutal Dozer, and then use Anchor Drill's effect to gain 5 levels. But it's just because you could go into this. It came up once, so I added it to the deck, but it's not that needed. Then we are playing a Mountain Smasher. You don't need to play this as well. It came up once for me, so I included it in the deck, but you really don't need to play this. Then we are playing a good rank 6. We are playing a number 39 Utopia Beyond. This outs Dragoon. I know Dragoon isn't a problem anymore, but it's still a good monster. Then we are playing 2 musical sumo dice games. You can play 1 because it's unlikely that you go into 2 over the course of a duel, but playing 2 is better because you can always just go into the second one if you want to try again. It's not very likely that you hit the musical sumo dice games, so if you need to summon the second one, you can summon the second one. Also, if you hit a bad die roll, your opponent gets the musical sumo dice games, and then maybe if he hits a bad die roll, you get the musical sumo dice games back. And if you put 2 musical sumo dice games in rotation, you can choose which one to use first if your opponent enters their battle phase, and then you can use the one that's more on your right on your field. So then maybe that musical sumo dice games hits the other one, and then you have more than 6 materials. And even if it doesn't hit it, if it goes more zones than the other monster is in, then the second one you use can still hit the first one you used. So having 2 musical sumo dice games in rotation is kinda good, because it's not a hard once per turn. Then we are playing a River Stormer. This is really important because you need to summon a rank 5 Earth Machine monster, but it's not important for its effect. But technically it's a search. Like, if you have enough materials on board with, like, if you opened Overlay Reagan and Heavy Forward, you can use its effect to get a search, but you don't need to. In the extra deck we are playing some links as well. We are playing a Nightmare Unicorn as a link 3 and some form of removal. We could go into this with an IP. If you open really, really good, you can end on IP plus musical sumo dice games plus a River Stormer with enough materials and a monster that you can link off for Unicorn, but it can happen, but it probably won't happen. Then we're playing a Geonator Transverser, because if our opponent has the musical sumo dice games, we can steal it back with Geonator Transverser, and then we can use the musical sumo dice games effect. Yeah. You better use Transverser to steal some other monster instead of the musical sumo dice games, but you can technically do that as well. Like, I guarantee you will not win many duels with this deck, but it's very, very fun to play. Finally, we are playing an IP that I already mentioned, as well as a Cross Sheep, because it's a generic link 2 and it has a somewhat decent effect, as well as 2 Infinitrack Goliath. This is a link 1 that you can make with an Infinitrack monster. That's kind of the important part of it, with a downwards arrow, so you can summon the World Legacy World Crown to the zone it points to, and if it leaves the field you can attach it to an Xyz monster. So yeah, it's an additional material under your Xyz monsters. I'll quickly go over the side deck, but Yeah, you can play anything you want in the side deck. We're playing 3 Nip, just because it's a great going second card. 3 Crow, just because Tearlaments exist. Then 3 Xyz Reborn, because we can technically summon back the Sumo Dice games and then just use its effect again. Probably you will just summon back the Musical Sumo Dice games, and you will roll a 6 and give it to your opponent to give them a free material on board. But technically it can summon back Musical Sumo Dice games. Then we are playing 3 Summon Limit, because we can play this if we go first, and 3 Rivalry, because our end board basically is only machine monsters, unless we kind of overextend. I'll now show you a replay of this deck in action. First, the basic combo. We didn't open our 2 Infinitracks, but that's fine. We will activate Heavy Forward F. We will grab ourselves an Infinitrack Harvester, because Harvester still can get us to most of the things. We don't need both of them. Harvester is what you search if you only open Heavy Forward. Then we are gonna grab us a Brutal Dozer. We will link off the Harvester in a copy of Goliath. Then we can trigger our Link Belt Wall Dragon. You can special summon this anywhere you want. This is really cool as well. Like, you don't need to summon it to the zone a Link monster points to. You can just summon it anywhere. Then we will special summon a Green Horizon. And you know already where this is going. We get 2 level 6 monsters on our board, plus a Goliath. We will Xyz summon a copy of Musical Sumo Dice games, because Brutal Dozer will lock us into Earth Machine monsters, and this is not an Earth monster. We will tribute off the Goliath, special summon Brutal Dozer, then we will use Brutal Dozer as 1 and Goliath as 2, just to play around Ash Blossom, because he can't respond to the summon from the deck then. We will special summon a Trencher, and then we will summon a River Stormer. Then we can use Heavy Forward to attach itself to one of our Xyz monsters as material. Would have been better if I attached it to the Musical Sumo Dice games, to be honest, but it's still fine. And we got 1 more level 6 extender in our hand, the Ready Fusion, and we got the Grand Horn of Heaven. So this worked out really well, even though we didn't open full combo. Or even though we didn't open both of the Infinitracks. Okay, let's look at another test hand. We will use Heavy Forward. This hand is way better than the last one. Grab ourselves a Harvester. Then we will normal summon Anchor Drill F. Hope for no Imperm or Veiler. This deck dies to Imperm or Veiler, if I didn't already mention it. We will summon Harvester F, grab us the Brutal Dozer. Then we can use either Harvester or Anchor Drill's effect to make the level of both the monsters the combined level of both the monsters. So we got 2 level 6 monsters now on our board this way. Then we will link summon a Goliath. We will then special summon a Link Belt Wall Dragon. Ah, shoot, wrong zone. Wrong zone indeed, yeah. That's unlucky. We could have summoned the Link Belt Wall Dragon somewhere else and then linked off the Anchor Drill. And then summoned another Link Belt Wall Dragon, but it's still fine. We will then summon a Musical Sumo Dice games. Then we will activate the Brutal Dozer, tribute off the Goliath, and same old, just Brutal Dozer as Chainlink 1, Goliath as Chainlink 2 to play around Ash. Like, we can get Belt this way. Maybe you want to play around Bell instead, because like many people are playing Bell now, but I don't know. I would rather play around Ash than make a River Stormer and activate the Heavy Forward, attaching itself to our Musical Sumo Dice games. Okay, let's go for another test hand. This is not good. It's really not good. Heavily depends on what we are drawing right now. I'll send Metalphose Fusion, then Metamorphose Fusion F. That's not it, but at least we can draw 1 deeper. That's not it as well, but at least we can stall a turn. Cope. We can normal sun anchor drill, I guess. It's not pretty, I know. Link it off into the Goliath. Then we can special summon World Crown. And we end on 1 negate, a monster destruction, and they can't hit over our monsters because we can skip the main phase. Yeah, it's not good.